All right, Shalom. This is Gamali Allah out of Great Millstone, Atlanta. I want to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the Akim now pushing out this truth and sincerity. All right, now this is a quick lesson. All right, and this is a response to SICARII and Martyrs of YAHAWASHI versus Jerome Gay of the Woke Church. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. The topic that I'm going to mainly focus on that they went into is, whether or not to keep the law. All right, because they had a little back and forth. All right, on pertaining to the law. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, and we'll go straight into it.
The grace of God. For if righteousness were through the law, then Christ died. I now live by in the flesh. I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not nullify the grace of God. For if righteousness were through the law, then Christ died for nothing.
I understand that.
He died for nothing.
All right, so right off the bat, this guy is, well, I'll say this. He doesn't really, he kind of contradicts himself. Because in one token he's saying, yeah, you should keep the law. As a matter of fact, let me find it just so I'm not putting words in his mouth.
Do what?
All things.
I can do all things
Through Christ, which strengthens.
So
Go
you
above that.
don't
Go
really
above
believe
that.
in Christ
No,
because
no,
if
no.
you
Read it in
did, you would be able to do
context.
all
Go
things.
above that. Right.
Hold John 17 again.
All right.
Get Psalm 110 again. Right?
Okay.
Matter of fact,
So,
hold that.
do you have on mixed threads?
No, I don't.
That's right,
bro.
baby.
That's
That's right. That's right.
Nice try. John 17.
Is this my line? I can't cross.
Listen, we're not going to harm you, brother.
I'm
Don't try
not
to
right.
We good.
Now the Bible
John
says
17,
this, see, because I believe in the scriptures.
Yes,
It
sir.
says, present a reason for the hope that lies before us. Yeah.
Every time he goes somewhere in an attempt to...
No longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the
Nice try.
Somebody give me Galatians 3. I can do it. All things.
I can do what?
All things.
I can do what?
Chapter 2, verse 20. Verse is dead.
Okay.
Right?
But does being justified by faith negates keeping the law?
Absolutely not.
So are we supposed to keep the law?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you
All right,
agree
there
that we're
it is,
supposed to
there
keep
it
the law?
I agree.
Okay, I caught it. So there he is. He said it. He said that we're supposed to keep the law. All right, just so I'm not putting words into his mouth. So, but he says that on, at timestamp 5 minutes, and then, 3 minutes later, he's trying to present the case that basically so-called, well, they call him Christ. His name is YAHAWASHI, but they're trying to say that. Then, he brings up precepts, basically trying to say that we're not justified by the law, or basically implying that you don't have to keep the law, which I'll go back to.
Here's why. You just built up a straw man argument. I never once stated up here that you're made righteous through the works of the law.
No.
Did I say that?
No.
So you're beating a dead horse. I never made that statement.
No.
However, you made a statement earlier, and I asked you, does grace, does faith negate keeping the law? You
And
said
I said no.
You said no. But you don't keep the law, though. So why?
And neither do you.
Oh, I don't? Yes, I do.
You don't keep
Yes,
all
I do.
613.
Yes, I do. Now read that.
You
Galatians
don't
2:17.
keep
Galatians 2:17. The body of sin, 4:22. Sin is not to sin. Keep going, though.
It says that
Adultery. He said, I don't condemn thee, but what, that matter of fact.
our position is that Christ has done it all for us.
Okay.
And that we are not going to be perfect until we get the glorified bodies in his presence. That we are not going to be perfect in our position. Our position is that Christ has done it all for us. And that we are not going to be perfect until we...
Christ has done what? Oh, well, he's saying basically, he's basically saying that the Messiah, basically he's trying to present that because the Messiah had been the sacrifice, then we don't have to, and like I said, it's a contradiction, and I'm gonna get some precepts in a second, but I just want to show y'all the contradiction of these Christians,
we get the glorified bodies in his presence. Our position is not live any kind of way because you're under grace. And our position is not that the law does not matter either. Our position is the law that doesn't save. That's why I read Galatians 2:21. And you're right. That we don't nullify the law. After we don't nullify grace by trying to get saved through works. Okay, that's my position.
See, all right, now he made a correct statement because he said that we're not saved by grace. That's correct. I mean, it's like we're not saved by the law. We're saved by grace, which that's correct. So really, these two are on the same page as far as that understanding. Now he's saying that, you know, basically he's not justifying what is it? Let me find it. Now there's a word, antinomianism, all right, which I want to bring out because they brought up this word. This is antinomianism is any view which rejects laws or legalism and argues against moral, religious, or social norms. Okay, which a lot of Christians, they do that. You know, and this guy, he has these Christians. What you'll find out is these Christians, they all have different views on everything. Okay, they have conflicting views. Okay, because some of them believe in the Holy Trinity, some of them don't. Some of them believe in that you should, you know, because this guy right here, Jerome Gay, he said that you should keep the law. You know, which that's conflicting to a lot of Christians. A lot of Christians would disagree. They basically make the argument that you know the law is done away with, or you know they'll try to wiggle out of you being supposed to keep the law. All right. So now let me go back because I want to go back to that precept that he brought out.
However, you made a statement earlier.
Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not nullify the grace of God. For if righteousness were through the law, then Christ died for nothing.
I understand that.
He died for nothing. So I'm saying I am saved by grace and through faith.
Yes, sir.
That's what saves me, not my ability to keep the law. Because Paul says, if it's based on your works, you're nullifying the very law you saying you uphold.
Now,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, now
I'm saying what the text says.
All right, now, yeah. So this guy is actually correct on that. All right, which and that's the thing, we don't teach that, and that's why the brother had to stop him and say he's making a straw man argument because we never made that claim that. Or well, the brother, which, you know, they have a similar doctrine as far as this subject goes. They have a similar understanding as to what Great Millstone teaches. All right, as far as keeping the law. All right, now you should keep the law to the best of your ability. All right, and the scriptures say that. It says. Let me see. 1 second. Well, yeah, Romans 6. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Yahawah forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer? Yeah, so really the point being in verse 1, basically, should we continue in sin that grace may abound? So in other words, because this guy is making the argument that, well, we're not bound by the law, which is correct. But on the flip side, if you're leaning on the side of grace and you're saying that, okay, we're saved by grace, does that now give you a pass to not keep the law? You know? So this guy is really, he's not coming from a Christian standpoint. And this guy is a little bit smarter than your average Christian, by the way. You know, but this is not a Christian argument because a Christian, the argument he's making, he said that he's basically making the same argument we make, that you should keep the law, which we established, and he also said that we're saved by grace. Now what's the only difference? The difference is this guy is not keeping the law. He already said out of his own mouth that we should keep the law, that you're supposed to keep the law, right? Now basically he's cutting himself because he said out of his own mouth that you should keep the law, but he himself as an individual is not keeping the law. All right, that's the cut. All right, which I believe this brother called him out on it. I don't know this brother's name. I think Hassad. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna just play this last little clip one more time and then bring out some precepts.
I got to keep coming back to that because we're not promoting antinomianism. We're not saying as Christians, we're not saying it's okay to live any type of way because you're under grace. That's not our position. Okay.
But Christians do that. All right, and this is just as a disclaimer. He may not think that, you know, but you got Christians such as Vocab Malone and different Christians will say that you can eat pork. Different Christians will say, you know, you can will eat it. Like Vocab Malone basically said, you can eat anything. You know, so this argument that he's making, that's not a Christian argument, and I believe he's probably just making that statement. Well, they backed him into a corner. They backed him into a corner where he had to agree. You know, because this guy knows the scriptures. I mean, he knows, you know, he may not have the full understanding, but he knows, he may not understand that he's an Israelite, but as far as this subject, I'll say he has a good understanding, you know, but I'll keep going.
Because you're under grace. That's not our position. Okay. Our position is that Christ has done it all for us. Okay. And that we are not going to be perfect until we get the glorified bodies in his presence. Okay. Our position is not live any kind of way because you're under grace. Okay. And our position is not that the law does not matter either. Okay. Our position is the law that doesn't save. That's why Galatians 2:21.
And that's but see, that's why, like I said, that's why he can be considered a hypocrite, because he just said that. I would play it again.
It does not matter either. Because you're under grace. Okay. And our position is not that the law does not matter either.
So if that's a Christian argument, if Christians believe that the law does not matter, then how come they don't keep it? That's the point. That raises the question, well, if the law doesn't matter, then why don't you keep it? So that's the contradiction, because if he's going to take a stance, then he's got to take a stance and don't dance around it. You know, don't bring up the grace side and bring up, oh, you know, we're saved by grace. If you're going to bring up that point, then you might as well admit that you don't believe you should keep the law. Because if you're going to bring up that point in defense of not keeping the law, then you're, in so many words, you're saying that you don't have to keep the law. But that's why I say it's a contradiction, because he doesn't keep the law himself. Anyway, this is well, let me keep going.
Our position is the law that doesn't save. That's why I read Galatians 2:21. And you're right, that we don't nullify the law. After we don't nullify grace by trying to get saved through works. Okay, that's my position. I again want to reiterate to everybody listening, I do not disagree with the statement that we are not saved by the works of the law. We are saved by grace through faith. Ephesians 2. It's not of works. 2, 8, 9. There you go. So, but here's the point, though. I'm not saying consciously you're teaching antinomianism. Subconsciously, though, the scriptures say what? Here is love, keeping the commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So why don't you keep the commandments is the question that I'm asking you. Something like fringes is a very simple thing.
Yeah, so that's the cut. Like I said, that's exactly the cut. Now, this is Matthew, because he brought up keep the commandments. This is another one, Matthew 19:28. Verily I have said unto you, matter of fact, hold on, let's see. Oh, 19. Let me see. Matthew 19:17. And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahawah. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. Okay? So if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. So that's plain and simple. So this is a commandment. YAHAWASHI is basically he's basically giving a disclaimer. If you want to enter into life, you got to keep the commandments, right? So if this guy wants to enter into life, speaking of this guy Jerome Gay, if he wants to enter into life, then he should keep the commandments. And that's the whole question. That's the whole premise of this video is, why doesn't he keep the commandments? If he knows, if he believes he should, if he, is going to take that stance to say that, yeah, you should keep the commandments, then keep the commandments,
The scripture says what? That what Christ said out of his own mouth, that if you teach people to break the least of the commandments, you'll be what? You'll be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
So if you're telling people, listen, you don't got to wear fringes. That's the least of the commandment. According to the Bible, brother, you're going to be called least in the kingdom of heaven.
Right, so that's a cut. So, yeah, so anyway, I just want to do a response to that video. Lord willing, you edify. I want to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone. Shalom.